But talking about a global world and global issues, it would be very difficult to not to discuss what's happening in the Middle East and how it's affecting the rest of the world, including Canada. I would even go as far as saying that it seems that Canada has unfortunately, if you wish, quote unquote, kind of lost its immunity from punishment, if you wish, or sort of the immunity that we used to kind of live in, based on the tragic incidents that happened in Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu and also the tragic incidents that happened in Ottawa. It's a much bigger problem than just the Middle East itself, but obviously it is stemming from there. Mm-hmm. Let's try to kind of isolate it, if we can, to what's happening in the Middle East and also how it's affecting the rest of the world. Let's start with the first one and have your thoughts on the Middle East. There's a variety of crises there, and then kind of bring it to the Western world and discuss it.
Well, I would like to suggest that this is not a Middle East problem.
I agree.
A lot of the hot aspect of this conflict is in the Middle East, but this is a global problem. What we have seen is after the end of the Cold War, we now have a lot of smaller, very hot wars. And the world also has changed. The world of today is not the world that was there 15 years ago or even 30 years ago. So the immunity of Canada, the isolation from the problems of the world, we are also a much more interconnected world.
Yes.
And as we get more interconnected, there's also more opportunities to influence and be influenced both negatively and positively. So now that is not to say that our own policies, particularly over the last 10 years, have not had the negative result which we are. There is one aspect to that. But I have to say that I firmly believe that terrorism and criminal activity would have targeted Canada anyways, regardless of our very specific positions in terms of what is happening in the Middle East or not. Again, this is not a justification of the positions we have taken, but I believe that at some point in time, our loss of innocence would have caught up with us anyways. So it might have happened much earlier than we thought it would, and unfortunately it cost the lives of two innocent members of our armed forces. Having said this, is that again, I do believe that the solution or the approach to solve these problems is not unidimensional. There is the security aspect of it, that's for sure. We need to have better security methods to understand what is going on, to make the necessary interventions and legislative tools in place, and also to even participate in stopping these conflicts to arrive at our doors. But where are our doors? Our doors are literally across the world. It's not only us. But I would like to define the problem slightly differently. That's the negative aspect of it. But if we look at Canada, again, I talked about what would like to tear this country apart and what unites us. We have many very interesting ingredients to be able to come up with a recipe which could be extremely useful, not only for us as a society, but for the whole world. Number one, even though we have the past 10 years of our partisan, or not non-sided, actually our very sided positions in the world, but we still have a whole history of participation in peacekeeping activities. We still have a lot of goodwill left over. A lot of people would like to suggest that we have no goodwill. I would like to suggest otherwise, is that we have still a lot of goodwill left over among all countries of the world about who we are as a people and as a nation, of peacekeepers, of people who can resolve conflicts, of people who would rather talk than who would bear arms, and who can bring people together. So we have that. The second ingredient which we have is we have all the communities of the world are citizens of this country. They might not talk to each other a lot, or they might even bring their own enmities from their own countries back over here, but we have them here. And we have them here, and a lot of them actually are not killing each other and so on. They do coexist. Sometimes reluctantly, but they do coexist, and sometimes they do coexist very peacefully. So we have that also, and they've been here for a long time. And the advantage that they have is that they are all citizens of this country. The third advantage that we have is that we have a long track record as well of international institution building. We have a track record of building institutions such as the Blue Helmets, building relationships for limiting of landmines. We have multilateralism, our participation in international, belief in international multilateralism, such as the institutions such as the UN or the World Health Organization or even NATO. So it's not that we would like unilaterally to go someplace and then fight wars. And historically, we're not a colonial nation. If anything, we were a colony of another nation. So if we look at all these ingredients, we say, well, this is very interesting, because we could think of ourselves of becoming actually a nation with a very particular expertise that is extremely sought after. We could become a nation which has the professional and the historical and the political expertise to become a conflict resolution nation. There's nothing stopping us to get the best minds of the world to open departments in our poli-sci departments, chairs in our poli-sci departments in all the universities in Canada, and where they can specialize on international conflict resolution. We can have professors from all over the world, we can have our own experts, people from the communities would participate in this, and we could have advanced degrees, and we could eventually send them as diplomats of goodwill. They could work at the United Nations level, or become very specific negotiators in conflict resolutions, because we have all these ingredients. The Indians and Pakistanis, because before they fight wars in Kashmir, the Indian community in Canada can talk to the Pakistani community in Canada, provided they have gone through the process and the education process of this. Again, a long-term approach to do this within a period of 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Because let's face it, the world will continue to be a world of conflicts and more conflicts. So why not do something positive with all the assets that we have as a nation, and then create that opportunity? And I will guarantee you that as more and more communities get involved, from all communities that are in Canada, there will be less incentive, or there will be disincentives to be radicalized in those communities themselves, because they will feel part of a bigger picture instead of being isolated. And we have now a large sector of our own citizens are now being branded as potential grounds for growing terrorism and so on. So this would be putting the positive aspect to the forefront and focusing on that. And again, it's based on education, it is based on investment in our assets, which are our people and our citizens, and it is based on a consultative approach, and again, seeing the big picture while having a vision about it and working to make it happen with the proper sense of urgency. And that's what I think that needs to be done.
Well, certainly most of these conflicts have been going on for a number of years, so your suggestion, whether it takes 5 or 10 years, is really a drop in the bucket in terms of the time frame. So
yes, absolutely. And again, there are, like I always say, there are no magic bullets. There's always, what you have to do is roll up your sleeves and get to work with the right ideas.
Well, Viken, you're rolling up your sleeves and getting to work. I wish you all the very best in your continuing challenges, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.